Hello children, welcome to Samveda e-class learning of class 6 social science. Today in this session children, let us learn about the culture of Vedic age, which is the 5th chapter of your textbook. Before starting the lesson children, I want you all to be ready with your study materials. Are you all ready? Yes. And I also want you to make a note of all the important points which we come across the lesson. Firstly children, let us see what are the competencies we are going to gain from this lesson. Firstly, we will come to know the names of the 4 Vedas, to identify the changes that took place in the pre-Vedic and post-Vedic periods, to know the political institution of the Vedic period, to understand the message of the Vedas, and lastly, to know the names of the great epics of India. Now, let us listen to an audio. Let us answer few questions children based on the audio. What did you all listen in the audio? Yes, you are all right. We all listened to the shlokas or mantras in the audio. Next, who was chanting the shlokas? Yes, very good. You are all right. The priests were chanting the shlokas. Can you guess in which language was it? Yes, you are right. It was in Sanskrit language. Children, now can you guess to which period it belonged? Yes, it belonged to the Vedic period. So children, in this class, let us study about the culture of the Vedic age. Let us know about the Aryans. With the arrival of the Aryan race, who were originally from Central Asia, a new culture emerged in India. The Aryans settled on the plains of river Saraswati and later on in the plains of river Ganga. As they settled in the plains of the rivers, this was called as the Vedic culture of the plains. The period in which the Vedic literature was formed is called as the Vedic period. Now, look at this map of rivers children. In this, I have marked a river Saraswati and river Ganga. So, the Aryans settled on river Saraswati and river Ganga. Now, there are some beliefs about river Saraswati. Let us know what were those beliefs. The Gagar-Akra river, which disappeared in the Thar desert of Rajasthan, is believed to be the ancient river Saraswati. It is also believed that Helmand river of Afghanistan is the ancient Saraswati river. Gagar-Akra, see children, I have highlighted in the red color, that is Gagar-Akra river. It is believed to be the Gagar-Akra river, which has dried up in the Thar desert of Rajasthan, is believed to be the ancient river Saraswati. Now, look at this map children. Here also I have highlighted it in the red color. This is river Helmand, which flows in Afghanistan. Even it is being believed as the ancient river Saraswati. Now, let us know deep about Vedas. Children, firstly let us know what does the word Veda mean. The word Veda means knowledge. There are 4 Vedas, namely Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda and Atharvana Veda. I repeat for you children, there are 4 Vedas, namely Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda and Atharvana Veda. Among these, the Rig Veda is the most ancient one. These Vedas were in Sanskrit. They were in oral form for thousands of years. So, means from one generation to generation, these Vedas were transferred in the oral form and later on they were texted. The river Saraswati is been very frequently mentioned in Rig Veda. Now children, we come across or we are very familiar with many of the shlokas are mantras. Now I have a mantra on the screen children, that is Snan mantra, means with the mantras which we chant before taking bath. Let me read out for you children. Gange cha yamunai chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalasmin Sannidham Kuru. So in this mantra they have mentioned all the sacred rivers of India, that is Ganga, Yamuna, Godavari, Saraswati, Narmada, Sindhu and Kaveri. Now let us try to know the meaning of this Veda. In this, the mantra means that in this water I acquire the presence of river Ganga, Yamuna, Godavari, Saraswati, Narmada, Sindhu and Kaveri. Next children, we can have a look of some of the Vedas which are in Sanskrit. So these are some of the Vedas in Sanskrit language. Have a look how the Sanskrit language is being written. Now let us know about the Vedic literature. The 4 Vedas and the related literature were formed during the period of the Aryans. The Vedic literature is the only source to understand the history of Vedic period. So in history we have different sources, isn't it? But to understand about the Vedic period, there is only one source of history for us, that is the literature, that is Vedic literature. Now let us see how the Vedic period is being divided. Vedic period is being divided into 2. The first one is pre-Vedic period and the second one is the post-Vedic period. The period of Rig Veda is called as the pre-Vedic period and the period of the other 3 Vedas is called as the post-Vedic period. Here pre means before, post means after. So when the Rig Veda was texted, that period is called as pre-Vedic period, and when the other 3 Vedas, that is Samaveda, Yajurveda and Atharvana Veda were texted, that is called as post-Vedic period. Now children, let us deeply learn about the pre-Vedic period. So in this we will be studying about the social, political, economic and religious life of the pre-Vedic period. Firstly children, let us have a look of social life of pre-Vedic period. Family was the basic unit in pre-Vedic period. Father was the head of the family. Joint family system was in practice. The prisoners of war were called as dasas and dasyus and they were treated as slaves. Aryans knew the liquors soma and sura. Let us learn about the position of women in pre-Vedic period. Children, we should feel very proud to know that women had a respectable position in the society during the pre-Vedic period. They even participated in political positions. Widow remarriage was in practice. You can have a look of the picture of the widow remarriage on the screen. Gosha, Apala, Lopamudra, Indrani, Vishwavara, etc. were the scholars of the Vedic period. In the screen children, you can have a look of a woman scholar teaching Vedas to the children. So here the word scholar means one who is very well versed in a particular subject. As they belong to the Vedic period, these were the women scholars. Child marriage and sati system were not practiced during this period. So the child marriage and the sati system, which is considered as the social evils of the society, was not practiced during the pre-Vedic period. Children, look at the screen. You can find 2 pictures. The first one is the child marriage and the second one is of sati system. What is child marriage? Yes, if a boy or a girl gets married before the age of 18, then we consider that as the child marriage. Next, let us move on to sati system. What is sati system? Yes, you are all right. Sati system is an custom among the Hindus where the Hindu widow enters the fire along with her dead husband. Or let us know about the economic life of the pre-Vedic period. Rearing of animals and agriculture was the basic occupation of the Aryans. They grew a variety of cereals. Cereals is nothing but the food grains. They used barley, rice, fish and meat as their food. They knew the use of iron and other metals. They were weavers, they knew about the cotton and the wool, they were making clothes out of cotton and wool. Carpenters, blacksmiths, potters existed. Children, here blacksmith means one who works with the metal, one who makes things out of metals is called as blacksmith. Agriculture, medicine, priesthood were the major occupation. People were allowed to choose a profession of their choice. How we have the right to follow our own profession now, in the same manner the people of the Vedic age had the right to follow their own profession or the profession of their choice. Cows were considered as wealth and very often battles took place to gain them. Children, now let us discuss about the political life of pre-Vedic period. The chief of the Aryans people was called as Rajan. Here the word chief means the head. The head of the Aryans was called as Rajan. He was not a dictator. What does the word dictator mean here? Yes, the person or a king who has got the absolute power over a country is called as a dictator. But here the king or the chief of the Aryans was not a dictator. He gave importance to the will and wish of the people. Kingship was not hereditary. It was not generally transmitted from one generation to the other generation. The political institutions, Sabha, Samiti and Vidatas played a major role in the administration. Here children, Sabha means it is an assembly of the selected people. Samiti is an assembly of the common people where anyone can express his or her opinion. And Vidatas or the assembly, it was mainly meant for the social, religious and military purposes. The king was also a judge and he gave verdicts after discussing with the elders of his court. You might have seen a judge. What does a judge do? He gives judgment. Here during the pre-Vedic period, the king was judge and he gave verdicts, he gave the judgment. The word verdict here means judgment. He was discussing with the elders of his court and then finally he was giving judgment. Next, let us see the duties of the king. Fighting in the battles, protecting the life of the people, safeguarding the wealth and welfare of the people, as well as ensuring the safety of the cows were the duties of the king. Now children, let us know about the religious life of the pre-Vedic period. Aryans worshipped gods like Indra, Surya, Soma, Varuna, Mitra, Yama and Ashwini. Indra, the king of heaven or Svarga, Surya, the sun god, Soma, the moon god, Varuna, the rain god, Mitra, the god of light, Yama, the god of death and Ashwini, the god of health and medicine. You can also have a look of the pictures on the screen children. The first one is Soma, the second one is the wind god Vayu, the third one is Yama and the fourth one is Varuna and the last one is the Vedic god Rudra. Now in the screen you can neatly observe few more gods which are being worshipped by Aryans. The topmost is the Surya, in the second row it is Indra, Agni, the fire god, Varuna and Vayu. They worshipped gods through the rituals of yagnas. So in the picture you can see a priest worshipping, trying to please the god through the yagnas. So here the word yagna means it is a ritual with a specific purpose. see what messages does Vedas give us. Vedas says that there is only one truth, but people perceive it differently. Means here the word perceive means they look to it differently. Let the noble thoughts come from all the corners of the world. So we must be very broad-minded children in this sense. If the noble thoughts are coming from any religion or any parts of the world, from any nook and corner of the world, we should be ready to accept it. These are the three messages that the Vedas give us. Children, so far we have discussed about the pre-Vedic age, the social, political, economic and social changes and religious changes Vedic period. Next, let us move on to the post-Vedic period. As centuries passed, the population grew in the area of Sapta Sindhu. Here the word Sapta means 7. 7 rivers togetherly is called as Sapta Sindhu. The Sindhu and its tributaries is called as Sapta Sindhu. As centuries passed, the Aryans moved from river Saraswati to Sapta Sindhu. There was change in the lifestyle of the people. The people of the Vedic period later on migrated to the plains of Ganga and Yamuna, and some of them even crossed the mountain ranges of Vindhyas and migrated towards the south. Now children, look at this map. I have marked Sapta Sindhu, means the river Indus and its tributaries with the red mark. So the Aryans from river Saraswati, as the population expanded, they moved to Sapta Sindhu and later on they moved to the plains of river Ganga and Yamuna. Look at this map children. Here I have marked Sapta Sindhu and Vindhya mountains. First they settled in Sapta Sindhu, later on they moved to river Ganga and Yamuna. Later on some of them even crossed the mountains, the Vindhya mountains, and you can see the Aryans advancing in this map. They advanced, they migrated towards the south. Now let us learn about the political changes which took place during the post-Vedic period. During the post-Vedic period, the king became more powerful. The position of Vidhata was completely diminished. Sabha and Samiti also lost their importance. The scope of the king was widened. Kingship became hereditary. So in the pre-Vedic period, kingship was not hereditary, but now kingship became hereditary. It became the birthright of the royal family. So if the father was the king, then automatically the son would become the king. So like this, kingship became hereditary. King performed rituals like ASHWAMEDHA Yaga and Rajasuya Yaga. Now let us know more about ASHWAMEDHA Yaga. Here children, the word Ashwa means horse. It is also called as horse sacrifice. It is a ritual performed by the kings mainly to expand their kingdom. During this sacrifice, a horse was let free and it would be let to roam in the other kingdoms, and the king who stopped it has fight, and the king who succeeds, he will be considered as stronger, and then only the victorious king has to perform this sacrifice. This is called as Ashwamedha Yaga, and this Ashwamedha Yaga is being mentioned in our great epics, the Ramayana and Mahabharata also. Now next, let us know about Rajasuya Yaga. Rajasuya Yaga is an yaga or a ritual sacrifice which is being performed by the kings when he ascends the throne. When the coronation of the kings goes on, this sacrifice is being performed by the kings. Next, let us learn about the social changes which took place in the post-Vedic period. Gotra system started during the post-Vedic period. The 4 ashrama system came into existence. Now let us see which are those 4 ashramas. The first one is Brahmacharya, the second one is Grihastha, the third one is Vanaprastha, and the last one is Sannyasa. Now look at the screen children. Here you can find all the 4 ashramas. The first one is Brahmacharya. It is also called as the student age. In this age, the child learns the Vedas and attains the mastery over Vedas. The next one is Grihastha. It is also called as household stage. It is the stage where the man enters into the married life, he gets married and take the household responsibilities, look after his wife, children and family. The third one is Vanaprastha. It is also called as hermit stage. In this stage, the man moves to the forest. That is, the last one is Sannyasa. It is the last stage. It is the fourth ashrama. In this, he completely leaves the worldly desires and turns himself into a sannyasi. He starts doing tapas to please the god. Now children, let us see what are the social changes that took place during the post-Vedic period. The position of women was lower. Women were deprived of education, means they were not given the benefits of education, they were kept away from the political institution. The Varna system came into existence, which was inclusive of 4 Varnas, namely Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. I repeat for you children, the 4 Varnas were Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudra. Now look at this picture children. Here you can find the picture of the 4 Varnas. These Varnas were actually divided based on the occupation. Based on this, the caste system came into existence. The first one is Brahmanas, where the priestly class, teachers and scholars could be found in this first Varna. The second one is the Kshatriya. The Kshatriyas were the kings, soldiers and one who fought in the battlefields. The third one were the Vaishyas, one who involved themselves in the agricultural field and they were also merchants. And the last one was the Shudras. Shudras were the people who did the remaining jobs and they even worked for the other 3 classes. That is the Brahmana, Kshatriya and Vaishya. Child marriage and Sati system started during this period. The social evils did not exist in the pre-Vedic period, but it started during the post-Vedic period. Polygamy started among the aristocratic people including king. Here the word polygamy means it is a custom of marrying or having one or more wife or husband is called as polygamy. This polygamy started among the aristocratic people, means the people who were rich, and including king, this polygamy was practiced. Now look at this picture children. In this picture you can see a king who is seated with his wives. So this is called as polygamy. Now let us learn about religious life of the post-Vedic period. Religious ceremonies became more complex and complicated during this period. The yagnas and yagas were done very frequently. The offerings such as milk, ghee and cereals to the fire during these yagnas led to the shortage of the food. Once in a while it was okay, but as the yagnas and yagas were done very frequently, have you observed the yagnas being performed? You might have observed it in the temples or in the religious function which happens at our home. During that period, you might have seen the priest offering the milk, ghee, cereals into the Agni Kunda. So as they were offering all this, this led to the shortage of the food. Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva were considered as the major gods. Along with them, goddess Lakshmi, Saraswati, Parvati and also Ganesha, Skanda. Skanda means he is the brother of Ganesha, whom we also call as Subramanya, and other family deities got importance. Yes, look at the screen children. You can see Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara of the post-Vedic period. Now let us know about the epic. What is epic? Epic is a long poem which was in the oral form. There are 2 great epics of India, that is Ramayana and the other one is Mahabharata. Ramayana is being written by Valmiki and Mahabharata is being written by Vyasa, and these 2 are the popular epics among the Indians. These 2 epics have guided the life of the Indians. Look at this picture children. The first one is Ramayana and the second pic is of Mahabharata. So far children, we have studied about both the pre-Vedic and the post-Vedic period. Now let us have a comparison between both. In pre-Vedic period, women had a respectable position in the society, whereas in the post-Vedic period, the position of the women was lowered. They participated in the political institutions. The women were deprived of education and they were kept away from the political institution in the post-Vedic period. The political institutions, Sabha, Samiti and Vidatas played a major role in the pre-Vedic period. The position of Vidhata was completely diminished and Sabha and Samiti lost their importance. Child marriage and sati system were not practiced during pre-Vedic period, but child marriage and sati system were practiced during the post-Vedic period. Rig Veda, this text is cited as the earliest text of this period. Yajur Veda, Samaveda and Atharvana Veda were texted during the post-Vedic period. Kingship was not hereditary and in post-Vedic period, kingship became hereditary. Now, it is the time for self-assessment, children. Let us match column A with column B. I will read out for you. In column A, we have words such as Soma, Rajan, Sabha, Ashwamedha, Valmiki. In column B, we have the meaning or the words related to A, that is the chief of community, the liquor known to ARYANS, a holy ritual, Ramayana, a political institution. Now, let us match, children. Will you give me the answers now? Yes. First one, Soma. Where shall I match it? Yes, you are right. Soma was the liquor known to the Aryans. Next, Rajan. Who is a Rajan? Yes, good children. Rajan was the chief of the community. Next, Sabha. Sabha is a political institution. Fourth one, Ashwamedha. Yes, you are right. It is a holy ritual. And the last one, Valmiki. Valmiki refers to Ramayana. Very good, children. You have given the answers correctly. Now, it is the time for home assignment, children. I want you all to make a note of these questions, answer it and show it to your respective teachers. Make a note. I will read it out for you. The first question is, which are the 4 Vedas? The second one is, name the gods of Vedic period. Third one, which are the epics of India? Who are the authors of them? What is the message of the Vedas? I hope you are all noted down. Now, I have an activity for you. Read Ramayana and Mahabharata, which consists of pictures and which is meant for the children. Thank you, children. I am Shalini from GHPS Kaudanalli, Bangalore South 4.